Hello, coming to you live from littleBits headquarters. Hi everyone, I'm Neveen, and I'm the new Senior Manager of Community Programs at littleBits, and so excited to be here. Been here a little over 2 weeks now, so I'm a noob, but it's been so inspiring to see what you and your inventors have been doing with littleBits. And co-hosting with me today is my lovely and talented colleague, Eliza.
Hello, Bitosphere, how's it going? We also have Eric, our social media manager, who's on the chat. So if you have any questions, he's there to help you. Say hello, let us know you're here. We're so excited to be reinitiating the club calls. I'm really happy that you can join us.
Yes, so again, huge, super huge welcome. And so for those of you who have been here before, we're changing up the format just a tiny bit. We're going to be doing these monthly, the last week of every month, and we're going to switch up the day and time so all of our inventors around the world can join us. And we're also going to do really cool things like feature clubs, maybe your club, talk about events, some secret events for clubs only. We're going to have a little piece that's like a training, and I'll talk more about that later. So today we'll talk about project-based learning a little later on. We'll interview experts and just like super cool inventors from the field. And the point is to have you feel supported and inspired so you can then in turn support and inspire your own inventors. So super excited. Put your questions in the chat, say hello, and let's get started.
Woo. Okay, so we're going to kick off with some community updates. So I hope everybody had a really lovely summer. We had a really busy summer because you might have noticed we had this new thing come out. It's pretty epic. If you can see behind me, we played with some droids. So that's our biggest news of the summer, launching our most epic kit yet, the Droid Inventor Kit. We're really excited and we're really proud of it. And we hope that all of y'all get a chance to play with it, pick it up. And yeah, we'd love to hear if anybody has had the chance to get the kit to play with it, or if you're thinking about getting it, let us know. Like, what do you think of it? We really want to hear from you. I mean, you're some of our most engaged community, and we want to know what you think. We value your feedback more than you know. So let us know. Also, let's see, what else do we have? What other updates do we have for you? Challenges. Yes, challenges. So we took a little break from challenges, and they are going to be ramping back up. We actually are going to start them. We'll be getting more into it in 2018, but we may have a surprise coming for you at the end of this year. We'll see. We're not sure yet because we want to make it extra special for you. Next, the Club Leader Toolkit. So if you have not received the link to this, please email community@littlebits.cc. We have pulled together an insane amount of resources for you, and we're only going to keep adding to it over the course of forever. So let us know. It is gated because it's only for you. It's a secret. Don't share that password. But there's a lot of really good stuff in there. Again, it's designed to support you so you can share inventing with the world. And we have some, stay tuned. We have some more news coming up next week, so stay tuned. Just, you know, keep your ear to the ground. I can't say too much, but it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be really good.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
So now we're going to talk about one of you guys, one of our awesome inventor clubs. So I'll let Eliza take it away. Drum roll.
So this new segment, our feature club leader, this month is Pamela Salo. So Pamela is amazing. She does incredible work, and I'm gonna read her bio so y'all can know who she is, and then we asked her a few questions, and we're gonna read those answers from her as well. So Pamela is the Assistant Director and littleBits Inventor Club Leader at the Buchanan Library in Michigan. She inspires her students to create playful inventions and describes herself as loving to explore, share, and encourage. When we let Pamela know that her inventor club had been selected, so yeah, we asked her a few questions, and here we go. Here's what she said. What advice would you give to new club leaders? So Pamela said, have fun and explore for yourself. Look at what others have done and see if you can use it or adapt it for a club. Have plenty of junk on hand. Yes, Yes, I love that. We have the poster with the Thomas Edison quote, "To invent, you need a good imagination and a pile of junk." And actually, that poster is included in the toolkit.
That's super awesome. Super awesome. Like motivation for your Inventor Club.
I think it's really cool too, just the idea of, you know, a lot of times when you're leading a club or you're leading a class, with littleBits or otherwise, you often forget to take the time and just play for yourself. And I think it's really important to do that, to sit and play and tinker and learn too. So I love that that was part of her advice.
Absolutely, and that's something I've been doing as a noob myself, just sort of like playing with the bits, seeing what I could do, adding things. So it's super cool because my onboarding experience, I'm figuring out and learning the bits just like you guys. So next we asked Pamela, because here at littleBits, failure is not failure. Failure is celebrated. Failure is failing forward and failing awesomely. And so we asked what was the most awesome fail that her inventors have ever experienced. And she laughed and said, well, it wasn't really like a fail, but when they made the robots alive video, the bots kept falling all over the place due to time constraints, as we all know, in sort of our learning spaces and unforeseen problems, of course. And one of them lost an arm at one point, and the kids were laughing and said that it looked like a granny beating someone with her cane. So, you know, there's imagination at work again. So she said it was hard to look at it as a fail because they really learned so much from it and they had so much fun doing it. But I think what's really important is like to learn to laugh at yourself, definitely have that sense of humor, and see failure as just like an opportunity to like create something new.
Yeah, it's interesting. An organization we both used to work with, actually, one of their sort of mottos was failure reframed as iteration. So it's not about success, it's about seeing it as part of the process, not as part of the end product.
Awesome.
Oh, I like this question. Okay, so the last question we asked her was, how would you describe the role of play in your work? And Pamela said, this is so wonderful. Play is vital because that is when the genius comes out. Sure, we need to direct toward a goal, but so many times play takes us in a direction I wouldn't have thought of. We need to play more. 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Just keep playing.
Awesome. Like, I mean, I've met teachers, I've experienced it myself, who just put littleBits in front of kids, sometimes without instruction, and just like see what they do, because they'll do things that you know, hadn't even thought of. You know, it's really interesting to see like what they find most interesting. Yeah. So yeah, play. Have your inventors play and play yourself.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a whole community call on play. Yeah. That would be really fun.
That'd be awesome. Yes. Cool. All right. So, Liza.
Here we go. Oh, okay. Right. So you should definitely, when we do our recap blog post of this call, we'll include all of the links to Pamela's club page and Invention, so y'all can check out the work that she's been doing, the incredible work that she's been doing. And you should definitely reach out to her on Facebook. She posts a lot of stuff there in our club page. If you are a club leader, check it out. So now we move on to one of the most exciting parts of our call today. This is actually a new section that we've included based on feedback from all of our club leaders over the past year. In previous community calls, we have interviewed experts, which we'll continue to do, but to sort of make it more supportive for you, we decided that we would start with a short presentation about a topic that you had chosen. So we reached out to you and asked you in the Facebook group what you wanted to learn about. And it turns out project-based learning is something you're really interested in. So this is the first ever littleBits Club Leader Tips and Tricks, starring Neveen.
Tips and tricks. Here we go. So a little bit of context before I get started. We're going to dip our toes into PBL today. But for you to know about my background, I started as a classroom teacher. So I spent 6 years teaching in New York City middle schools, and that's actually how I met Liza.
True story.
In a school where we were playing and inventing. And so I really draw a lot on my experiences, like working directly with young inventors, with young students and kids. And so this project-based learning is like the most, I think, authentic way to have your kids be engaged, and really without engagement, you have nothing. So that's why we're talking about project-based learning today. So I'm just going to share with you my screen.
You might see a little infinity. Oh, there we go. Okay. All the way back.
Yeah. All right, just give us one moment.
So now we're gonna switch over. Here we go. Boom.
And boom. Perfect. So presenting littleBits club leader tips and tricks on project-based learning. So what is project-based learning? Some of you may be more familiar with this than others, but I think it's just like a really good refresher to like sit back and look at the big concepts around it. So I love the Buck Institute, and you're gonna have access to this PowerPoint or slideshow, so you'll be able to access all the links. But they have really great resources on project-based learning, and I kind of like look to them a lot to sort of talk about what project-based learning is. But really, it's an extended learning experience where students are investigating something in order to respond to an authentic question, a driving question, or problem or challenge. They're working to figure something out. And so it starts really with that good driving question. And the question needs to have some urgency. They need to feel a reason to want to answer this question. Either it's something that's a real world issue that they really feel passionate about and they want to solve, or it's something that they personally really want to see in the world. And I know you're all working with inventors in a lot of different spaces and places, so that driving question is sometimes a driving question that you brainstorm with your inventors, and sometimes it's something that you pose to them. So depending on your learning space, it can come from curriculum content. So if you're in school, you might develop your driving question based on what you need to cover in your curriculum. As I mentioned before, it could come from, it's really powerful when it comes from students and inventors' own interests. Often, especially in this like sort of adolescent age, I feel like students are really inspired by real world issues and the feeling like they can make a difference, and they see these things in the world that they want to change and make better, or they think aren't right. And so, you know, thinking about big issues, but then helping your students like hone it in and sort of think global, act local, or making, thinking about big change and thinking about what actual small change they can do will make them really invested if they feel like they're doing something real. And it can be a problem or it can be a need. So it doesn't always have to be focused on something that's wrong. It could also be focused on making something better that's already good. Or it could be a creative need. It could be someone's like need to like share with the world how they how they experienced something, or just some like it could be a creative need as well. So it can be problem-based or need-based. And there's a really cool resource especially cool if you co-plan with any colleagues. It's from BIE and it's called the Driving Question Rubric, and it's a little interactive thing that you can cut out and play with, and it helps you sort of frame good driving questions. So that's really good if you're collaborating with other Inventor Club leaders or colleagues at your Inventor Club.
Did you even use that with students?
You could too. I really
That'd
think
be cool.
if you could because it's an interactive, so if you go to the link, you'll see like you can cut out different pieces of the question. And it's kind of like putting together a puzzle. So you could even put your students in groups and sort of have them play with that. Nice. So why use PBL? So for me, it's engagement, right? So when I taught in New York City, one of the things I learned was that it doesn't matter how great your lesson is, doesn't matter what the content is that they need to learn. You need your kids to be engaged and interested. Otherwise, that's how they learn. That's how kids learn. Like, kids will memorize the lyrics to songs because they're engaged and they really love those songs. So they'll be excellent at a game because they really like that game. They can tell you all the rules. They can invent all these different ways to play with it, and they won't forget it. And I know, like, I can think back to the things I learned in school that I was most interested in, and those are the things I remember. So in project-based learning, it's really all around having your students engaged in their work. So part of that is that students need to feel what they're doing is authentic. So a real-world context or a real-world audience that you're working to present to or creating something that will serve someone else gives them a real feeling of purpose and motivation. So when students feel like they're not doing something to hand it into their teacher or mentor, but they're doing something because it's really going to help someone else, that really motivates them in their work. Project-based learning allows students to personalize their learning experience. So they have a driving question, but then they have a choice in how they're going to answer it. What avenue are they going to take? What are they going to explore, and how are they going to present it? So it gives them an opportunity to make the learning theirs and work in a way that's them. Real-world skills. So kids are going to really be the most engaged when you teach them things as they need to use it immediately. If you teach them something and say, like, you'll need this one day, listen up because it's going to be important, they're going to totally zone out. But if you show them something and then they immediately get to do it, and they need to do it to get to the next challenge or the next part of your project, they're going to be like, okay, I need to focus in right now because I need to figure this out because it's going to take me to where I want to go next in my project. And also, you teach them when they need to use it, and then they use it immediately. Use and experience is going to actually make it stick. And then I would say, as an educator and someone just really passionate about inspiring our youth, the skills that your students are learning in project-based learning are these soft skills maybe, but amazing skills that adults and all of us need in no matter what context you're in as you grow and continue in your path in life. So collaboration skills, communication skills, a lot of project-based learning involves group work or partner work and cross-collaborative work in the classroom or learning space. Problem solving is something we deal with every day, using technology to share, to learn, but also to share. All of these things that you do in project-based learning are things that I do every day in my work, not only here at littleBits, but throughout my whole career. So these are skills you're teaching them that are just going to be relevant for their whole lives. So little review, right? Inventors have choice. They really feel ownership of their own work. They're going to collaborate with others. Very rarely now do we work in a box, right? The best thinking is when minds come together. They're working on real-world problems that feel meaningful. They're invested in. They care about it. So if you have a student who's really into a particular issue or into a particular game or character, bringing that in is going to just harness what they already care about. They're going to think critically. So you want to have them think about multiple solutions and multiple avenues and sort of this idea of iterating, trying things out, it being okay if it doesn't work out, try another way. The authentic audience is awesome. And so we'll talk a little bit in a second about how littleBits and the Invent platform gives you that authentic audience because your inventors are sharing with a community of littleBits around the world. And you want to, as a mentor, as a club leader, as an educator, you want to think about ways to assess your students' learning because that can be really important. But not just at the end. Project-based learning isn't like they take a test at the end. You're building in authentic assessment throughout the process, and you're being really transparent about it, and you're involving students in the assessment, so self-assessment, peer assessment. Leaders of project-based learning are facilitators. I really like guide on the side, not sage on the stage, right? So that's the big thing. You're guiding them. You're not imparting knowledge. And Seymour Papert, who's like one of the fathers, I guess you'd say, of project-based learning, talks about really creating just the conditions for invention. You're not imparting knowledge, you're just putting like some ingredients in a room with the wonderful brains of your inventors. And talking about littleBits and project-based learning particularly, I mean, nothing goes as well together as peanut butter and jelly except for littleBits and project-based learning. And because littleBits and our lessons and workshop guides are all centered around the Invention Cycle, you're going to see that create, play, remix, and share is basically the same framework for project-based learning. Your driving question, right, comes in before they create. Then they're doing, right? They're researching, designing, collaborating, building. Then we're playing. This is the testing. This is how is it working, and sort of gathering insights. Could it be better? Remixing. They're iterating. They're either making it better or they're modifying it to make it different. And then they're sharing with an authentic audience. And here's where we hope you're encouraging your inventors to post what they create on our community Invention site, so that they're not only sharing it with their classmates and their local community members, but with the global littleBits community. And so one example that you can take a look at on our website is the Invent for Good challenge that we had, where students were brainstorming ideas and then actually using littleBits to create inventions that were going to help someone in some way. And so my 2 cents here would be, as a classroom teacher in the past, but in whatever space you're working in, students might want to immediately jump to I want to end world hunger. There should be no more hunger. There should be no more war. There should be, so they have these really, really big things, but they are motivated by achieving something and success in the end. So you want to encourage them to think about these big things they care about, but then think about taking it down to what can I do actually to make a real tangible difference that I can see maybe in my local community. Start there. So one example submitted by you guys was a never burn machine using littleBits that would help dispense sunscreen. So it's a health and environmental issue. You'll have access to this, but 3 places that I love to turn to for project-based learning resources: Buck Institute, Edutopia, and Teaching Channel. And I've also linked to a few specific places on those sites where I think you can find some super helpful stuff. And lastly, I had the awesome experience of going to the New York Maker Faire at the New York Hall of Science this past weekend. And I was at a little, talk by people from Project Zero and talking about agency by design. And these are just some things that really stuck out to me when I was listening. They were asking us what makes a learning experience memorable. So just think back about things you've made or things you've learned, and what are the things that you remember, and think about why. So for me, when I did that, I just thought about everything I remember made me feel proud about something I did, empowered, I felt like I could do something. It felt purposeful and it was useful. So for me, it was thinking about what are the learning moments and then how can I create those or replicate those for our youth and our inventors. A lot of the times with littleBits, we think about physical making, but involved in this process of physical making, you're also making making story around your invention. You're making experiences, and by sharing, you're making community and building community. So I really like to think of all the different ways we're making when we physically build littleBits. Sharing. And then when you do something, when you construct your own knowledge or make your own invention, it sticks. So just food for thought. All right, and that's just a little overview of project-based learning and the things that I think are most important.
So y'all should go ahead and post your questions in the chat. We're gonna bring us back online here, move some windows around, stop screen sharing. There we go, hello again. All right, so to get it started, I'll kick off with a question just as we're waiting for others to come in. So let's see, what question do I want to ask you? I would say, let's see. How do you do project-based learning if you don't have a ton of time with inventors or students?
So my answer to that would be to, the project can be like the scale of like what you want them to do can be like totally determined by the driving question. So you can have like a project-based challenge that's like a super short time frame, like how can we like make this peanut butter and jelly sandwich even better? Like it can be like starting with something that already exists and iterating on top of it.
Right.
And then they're not starting from scratch.
Right. So you don't have to create something new, just take something and remix it.
Remix, yeah.
Don't forget to post your questions. Do we have any so far? No? All right, I'm gonna keep waiting because I have a lot of questions. So going off of what you just said, I'd love to hear a few examples of how in the past you've created, or anything that you have at the top of your head, how
Sure.
you've created driving questions specifically around student interests. So what does that look like? Like, what does that process, that planning process look like?
Yeah, so usually I've had some sort of, in my past experience, there's some sort of theme that's sort of like a bigger theme that's guiding me in my head. So at one point when I was teaching, you know, we really had a challenge for 8th grade students I was teaching to be actively involved in sort of social change and social good. That can mean so many different things. So I usually like to ask students to start big and to wield it down. So I like to do group discussions, put them around a piece of poster paper or like share them on a Google Doc, and have them just put all their ideas of what you care about, and then sort of share out and then bucket them. So doing sort of like a big idea dump, and bucketing them. And then I think the part that's really important is to look at, once you have those buckets, what do we care most about and what can we actually accomplish, and like giving them some parameters in this time frame with the resources we have. And sometimes if students have an interest that's like maybe it's not like exactly fitting within the theme, but like working with them, like how could it fit, and so sort of compromising with your students.
Right on. Thank you. Do we have any in the chat? No? Well, don't forget to post. Let's see. What else do I want to ask you? I guess thinking through sort of, you know, how project-based learning applies to littleBits. You sort of mentioned it's like peanut butter and jelly.
I love peanut butter and jelly.
I think, you know, it's very easy to see how littleBits is one tool for project-based learning. And I'm wondering if you have seen, any other examples in the time that you've been here, or had any ideas, like sort of been struck by inspiration of how this would just be incredible.
So for me, what I think is really interesting about me coming into littleBits is that my education experience is not as a sort of science teacher, technology teacher, or math teacher. I studied English Lit and I taught humanities, so I taught English and social studies. So for me, what's been really cool, what I love about littleBits is it's making invention for everyone, right? Not just for engineers, not just for students who are super into math or architecture. So I've recently, what's been capturing my attention, and it's actually come out of the community, so thank you, is narrative around invention. So what I think makes littleBits the playability exponential and infinite is that you can, with the same physical invention or even behaviors or emotions, have infinite narrative around it. What it means, what it does. I like this idea of story, both a fictional story around your littleBits invention, but also sort of a nonfiction story of the invention process, sort of documentary filmmaking. I can see all these opportunities to incorporate storytelling with littleBits. And that's totally inspired by you guys. But it just that hit me because that's my thing. English, like
Yeah.
stories, right?
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of an untapped potential, and I think it's really interesting every time a project pops up that's really focused on storytelling. So we should do more of it. Okay. So I think we might have a question coming in.
Oh, question for me.
So, let's see what it is. This is a good one.
All right.
All right. How do you convince teachers in schools to adopt PBL in their class, especially when there is not enough time during class?
Yeah. So I think the best way to get teachers invested in something new is almost the same way you do it with students. So if your school or learning space has any sort of professional development time or sort of meeting time, and you can come up, or you can find, and we'd be happy to sort of share on our Facebook page or in our toolkit, some PBL-like experiences, like mini PBL experiences that you can put, like have your colleagues, have other educators participate in. Mm-hmm. If they can participate in this activity that's like super inquiry-driven, super challenging, but super fun, then they get those feelings that we want to inspire with the kids. They get those feelings of engagement, of being motivated, of feeling accomplished and proud of their work. Then they're going to see the value. So having sort of even like a 15 or 20-minute little activity that's aligned with sort of project-based values and goals, and having educators engage in that, I think have them experience it, that's the best way to have them buy in.
And have them reflect on it at the end and sort of align like what was going on through their learning process and how that really affected the student too.
Yeah. That's a really good question.
Any other questions? No? Well, let's see. I'll ask one more question, and then we'll probably have to jump off. But I was wondering, Neveen, because you've been talking so much about project-based learning, and just about learning in general, when was a time that you felt the most proud of the work that you've done, of a project that you've made that felt authentic and real world? And
sure. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna give one that's just like a super, like here's like your super new, like super basic example. Not a crazy project. It didn't invent a rocket ship that can go to the moon or Pluto or, but I did put up, I have 3 really crooked coal hawks behind my door right now in my apartment. They are awesome, and I'll tell you why they're awesome. Because they're functional, they hold many coats, and they're sturdy. Because I put them up myself, I did not ask anyone for help. I had moved into this new apartment, and I need to put up coat hooks, and because I had real like use, I'm like, I have all these coats, I'm throwing them on the floor and on a chair. I should get some coat hooks. How do I get some coat hooks? I'm gonna have to buy a drill. I'm gonna have to get drywall, screws, and And guess what? The first time I put it up, I put them up crooked because I didn't think about leveling them. But I think that's funny and fun, and so I'm super proud of them. They're functional. I felt empowered. I had never done it before. I had never really done much like home improvement work. But I was like, I'm gonna march into the local hardware store, knowing nothing. I'm just gonna like unabashedly ask people, like, what do I need to do this? Yeah. Like, show me, and then I'm gonna try it, and I did it, and I'm so proud of those coat hooks, and that was like 2-3 years ago. But I remember taking a picture of it and sharing it on my with my friends and family, just being like, these are Neveen's coat hooks. I put those coat hooks up by myself. So I mean, I just think I felt super proud, super empowered, and now I'm not afraid to walk into the hardware store and take out my power drill and try new things.
Let's talk about a need to know.
Yeah,
winter coats. Yeah.
In New York, yeah. Lots of coats.
Winter's coming. All right, well, thank you, Neveen, so much for that amazing presentation. That was really wonderful, and I hope that everybody got something out of it. Again, it will be posted in a blog post in the coming days for you to watch again if you'd like. And sort of just in closing, I just want to say it's wonderful to be back and to see everybody and to have Neveen here.
Yay, so excited.
Since Neveen is here, this is actually going to be my last club call, but she's going to bring lots of fun people in, maybe a new co-host.
Lots of fun people and like sparkles and things like this, because I love it.
So, you know, just keep inventing, keep being awesome, keep sharing. We want to know about the events that you're doing. If you have any events, please tell us. Post them on your club page, and then they'll populate on our larger Inventor Club page. So let us know. Keep posting those inventions. Share your stories. We love to hear from you. It's like our favorite thing.
I know. And if you've invented something epic, done something awesome with your students recently, or have something planned, please reach out. You know, post us on Facebook, email us. We're going to keep doing these calls monthly. And next month, I'll feature a new club. So I'd love to feature your club and the things that your inventors are doing. So please post to Facebook, share your inventions. I'm looking at them every day. So are thousands and thousands and millions of people.
It's true.
Okay. Thanks all. It was so nice to meet you, and I'll see you next month.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.